Today, we're going to be talking about something I think everyone, and I mean everyone, can relate to.
Oh, for sure.
We're talking about those bad days, the ones that start with a small disaster and just, snowball from there.
Right. And we're going to be looking at some amazing stories, some really funny anecdotes about everyday mishaps.
Exactly. We'll be swapping some war stories about bad luck, a bit of clumsiness, and definitely some memorable social disasters. But, our real mission here is a bit deeper than just having a laugh.
It is. We want to analyze what's actually going on in those moments.
We're looking for the unexpected insights, the hidden value you can get from those minor personal disasters that we all try to forget as soon as they happen.
That's the core of it, really. I mean, we're sort of conditioned to see mistakes as failures.
Yeah.
Things you need to hide or fix immediately.
Yeah, you feel ashamed.
Exactly. But the source material we have for this deep dive, it argues for the complete opposite. It's this really rich collection of shared human moments.
And where does it come from?
It's all from a single conversation, just people sharing these intensely relatable personal stories. We've got catastrophic starts to the day, some pretty big workplace blunders.
And my personal favorite, those social gaffes that make you physically cringe just hearing about them.
Oh, they are brutal. But they're also so valuable. Our mission really is to get past the surface humor and understand the psychology of it all.
The why.
The why. Why do we make these mistakes? How do we cope in that split second of panic? And maybe most importantly, why is sharing these stories so valuable?
Right, because these stories, they're more than just funny. They're like data points, aren't they?
That's a great way to put it. They're data points on how we navigate the world, how we build relationships, and ultimately, how we build resilience.
I find that when someone tells a really specific, embarrassing story, like dropping a whole bag of apples in the supermarket and they go rolling everywhere.
Under everyone's feet. The worst.
The absolute worst. But you don't just sympathize, you feel it. You connect with them instantly on this really basic human level.
Yeah, it's like a shortcut to empathy. It reminds you that we're all just kind of bumbling through, trying our best.
It totally breaks down that illusion of perfection, which connects to a psychological idea you mentioned earlier, the cascade effect.
Yes, the cascade effect. It's fascinating because it explains how a tiny, minor event, especially if it happens early in the day, can just completely derail your entire mental state.
A chain reaction.
A perfect chain reaction.
Yeah.
A small failure triggers a series of, increasingly bad decisions. And that's really what defines a bad day.
So let's track that. Let's start with maybe the most essential morning ritual of all.
The one that so many people's days depend on.
The sacred, but in this case, completely ruined cup of coffee.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this opening disaster. Our guy here, we'll call him Paul, he sets the scene with such high hopes.
He does. It's the ideal start. He woke up early. He's feeling on top of things.
He makes himself a nice, fresh, hot cup of coffee. For so many of us, that's it. That's the foundation of a good day.
It's a ritual, isn't it? It's that moment where you establish, okay, I am competent. I'm in control.
He's achieved that little moment of morning zen, that quiet confidence before the world starts making demands.
And that feeling of being perfectly aligned, that's actually what makes the coming disaster so much more painful. He's operating with this slight overconfidence in his own ability to be flawless.
And the detail that just sets it all up for a fall is what he's wearing.
Ah, yes. The shirt.
He's wearing his favorite white shirt.
Of course he is. It couldn't be a black shirt or a blue one.
No. The white shirt is the uniform of capability, isn't it? It says, I am sharp, I am ready, and I am confident enough to wear the one color that advertises every single mistake.
It's such a high-stakes choice. You're basically telling the universe, I trust my motor skills completely this morning.
And when that trust is broken, it just shatters that whole self-image.
Completely. It's a violation of the standard he set for himself just moments before.
And then it happens. That defining catastrophic moment, his hand slipped. And he reports that one terrible universal sound.
The splash.
The splash. The sound that signals the immediate total collapse of the morning ritual.
And that's the switch point, isn't it? The internal monologue flips from, I am in control, to I am a total disaster.
Your whole locus of control just shifts. You thought you were driving the day.
But now the coffee stain is driving everything. Your mood, your schedule, your choices for the next hour.
And the fallout is just total. The coffee went everywhere. He's so meticulous in describing it. On the floor, on the table, and the killing blow. A big brown stain right in the middle of that perfect white shirt.
Right in the center. Not on the side where you could maybe hide it with a jacket.
Of course not. It's a bullseye of failure.
And here's where that cascade effect really kicks in. The source material adds a critical piece of information. He was already running late.
The classic accelerator.
Exactly. That pre-existing stress just removes any chance of a calm, rational response. There's no time to blot the stain or look up a home remedy.
No time for a deep breath.
Zero. Lateness forces a frantic, panic decision. So the mistake isn't just the spill. The bigger mistake is letting that time pressure dictate what comes next.
Which guarantees it will be a bad choice.
A suboptimal solution, absolutely.
So he runs to change. He grabs the first thing he sees, which is a blue shirt. But there's no time to iron it.
Of course not. Ironing is a luxury he can no longer afford.
And the description he gives is just so vivid. He says the shirt looked very wrinkled, like a ball of paper.
What a fantastic image. He's gone from this crisp professional symbol to wearing something that looks like it came out of the recycling bin.
And if you think about it from a social signaling perspective,
It's broadcasting everything.
It's broadcasting chaos. Even if he never says a word about the coffee, that wrinkled shirt is telling everyone, my morning was a complete failure. I am not operating at 100%.
It's a nonverbal warning sign to his colleagues. And you can feel his self-perception just plummet.
He looks in the mirror and his thought is, I look crazy.
And then that amazing phrase, he felt like the wardrobe attacked me.
I love that. It's so relatable. It's too much to admit that you caused the chaos, so you externalize it.
You have to. It's a coping mechanism, right? To say, the universe, my own clothes, they conspired against me today. It's a way to try and reclaim a tiny bit of control after losing it so completely.
And that internal chaos, this private little disaster, it immediately translates into a much bigger shared chaos the moment he gets to the office.
Which is often where the relief comes from, isn't it? When you realize your personal mess is about to collide with a collective one.
It makes your own problems feel so much smaller. And that brings us right to the next story. The social folly of the forgotten key.
The relief of shared misery.
So Paul arrives at his office building. He's still feeling self-conscious, wearing his wrinkled ball of paper.
He's probably trying to walk in quickly, hoping no one notices.
Exactly. But he can't. Because he finds this scene of, external chaos. Everyone, his boss, his colleagues, the whole team is just standing outside on the sidewalk.
And his first thought has to be, what's going on?
Yeah, his initial confusion is it a fire drill? Some kind of emergency?
That's the logical assumption.
Mm-hmm.
When the basic function of a building fails, you assume a major systemic reason. A fire, a gas leak, something serious.
But the reality is so much less dramatic and so much more, human. He asks his friend, why are we all out here?
And the answer.
The door is locked.
Oh, that's so much worse than a fire drill.
In a way it is, because now the problem isn't safety, it's just inconvenience. And it immediately kicks off this little social detective game.
The hunt for the culprit.
Who was supposed to open the door? Who has the key? The group needs to identify the single point of failure.
It's not always malicious, that hunt. It's just a need to understand the breakdown of the system. Who was responsible for this one simple task?
And the revelation, it lands squarely on one guy, Mark. Mark, who always opens the office, he's standing right there with them.
So he's suffering along with everyone else.
He is. He forgot the key at home. And the detail is so mundane, it's almost painful. He left it on his kitchen table.
Wow. So one small object sitting on a table miles away has brought an entire company to a standstill.
It's a perfect illustration of the disconnect between the size of the error and the scale of the consequence. We're talking about 20 people waiting outside for 30 minutes.
If you add up the lost productivity, the collective frustration, the entire day starting late for everyone, that's a huge impact from one tiny lapse in memory.
And you can see the weight of that on Mark. The description of his reaction is it's pure shame.
Let me guess, he wasn't making eye contact.
Not all. It says he was very red and just staring at his shoes. He's displaying this acute physical embarrassment.
And that's the difference, isn't it? Paul's coffee spill was a private failure that he had to wear publicly. But Mark's forgotten key was a public failure that affected everyone. It was a communal problem.
That's a great distinction. It makes you ask, what's worse? The private shame of failing your own standards or the public shame of failing your whole team?
Judging by Mark's reaction, the blushing, the staring at the ground, I'd say the public shame is way more intense. He failed the group. He's the reason 20 people are stuck.
And for Paul, this must have been a moment of beautiful, sweet relief.
Oh, absolutely. The psychological irony is perfect. He was so worried about his wrinkled shirt.
His private failure made public.
And then he sees Mark dealing with this much larger shared disaster that has literally shut down the office. The collective chaos just dwarfs his individual problem. Suddenly, his wrinkled shirt seems completely insignificant.
Right. He might look a little messy, but at least he didn't strand his boss on the sidewalk for half an hour.
And that shared waiting time, the jokes that must have started flying around, it becomes an involuntary team-building exercise.
Totally. They're all united by Mark's mistake. And Paul is just standing there thinking, thank God I'm not Mark today. It's instant perspective.
That is such a powerful moment of relief. And it's a great transition. We're moving from a logistical failure, a problem with objects in memory, to a purely social obligation.
Ah, yes. The one where your physical senses are in direct conflict with your social programming.
We have arrived at the dilemma of the salty lemon cake.
This story is a masterclass in social endurance.
It really is. It's about behavioral compliance under extreme duress.
Okay, so the setup is key. Emily's colleague, Lisa, she loves to bake. And one day she brings in a beautiful lemon cake. It's described as yellow, fluffy, visually perfect. It creates this wave of excitement through the team.
Of course. It's the office equivalent of a snow day. An unexpected gift, a break from the norm. It's a gesture of generosity.
And that generosity is what raises the social stakes so high. Everyone lines up, they thank her, they take a big slice.
They are socially and emotionally invested in this cake being delicious before they've even tasted it.
Exactly. And then comes the moment of pure, unadulterated sensory shock.
The first bite.
The first bite. Everyone takes this big, hopeful bite and realizes the cake is not just, say, a little dry or not sweet enough.
No, that would be manageable.
This was something far, far worse. It was salty. In fact, very, very salty.
Not just a pinch of salt. We're talking about a full-on sodium assault.
The culinary equivalent of gargling with seawater. And we have to talk about the psychology here. You mentioned cognitive dissonance.
This is a textbook case. Your brain has been primed by all the visual cues, the yellow color, the fluffy texture, the name lemon cake, to expect sweetness, a pleasurable sensation.
Right.
But your taste buds are screaming the opposite message. They're sending signals of, frankly, poison. It's a harsh, unpleasant shock, and your brain just struggles to reconcile those two completely contradictory inputs. It looks good, but it tastes terrible. How can both be true?
And the source of the mistake is so simple, which almost makes it worse.
Was it?
Lisa confused the sugar jar and the salt jar. They look the same. So instead of cups of sugar,
She put in cups and cups of salt. Oh, no.
it's a classic human error caused by, poor design. If two things that do opposite jobs look identical, it's not a question of if someone will mix them up, but when.
You can't even really blame her. But that doesn't help the people who now have a mouthful of salty cake.
No, it does not. And this is where the real deep dive begins. The social trap. The crucial detail is that Lisa is standing right there, smiling, happy, just waiting for the compliments to roll in.
Oh, she's waiting for the praise. She's expected to be rewarded for her act of generosity.
And the team is now in this impossible situation. Their primary directive is do not hurt Lisa's feelings.
That deep, primal need for social harmony just overrides everything else. It overrides honesty. It overrides physical comfort.
It even overrides the body's basic self-preservation instinct.
It does. They have to endure this awful taste as a required act of politeness. They're engaging in a shared silent deception.
The source material says they chewed very slowly. You can just picture it, trying to minimize the time the salty mush is on their tongues.
And somehow they manage to swallow it. And they're smiling, forcing their faces to project pleasure while their bodies are in revolt.
And the most incredible physical detail, the one that tells you everything you need to know about their suffering, their eyes were watering.
Wow, that's the body's involuntary reaction. The tear ducts are screaming, "This is wrong," while their mouths are trying to form the word delicious.
It is the ultimate test of social compliance. They are literally in physical pain, but the social contract is stronger.
That is the quiet heroism of office life. People will go to incredible lengths to preserve face, both for themselves and for others. Kindness trumped truth.
And what about what they actually said? The verbal gymnastics are just as impressive.
Let me guess. It's different.
Close. They called it an interesting flavor.
Ah, interesting. The universal code word for this is objectively terrible, but I can't say that to your face.
It's the most diplomatic, non-committal adjective in the English language. It's not a lie, but it's very, very far from the truth.
It's a masterpiece of verbal evasion. Because saying this is salty would have had a higher social cost than the physical cost of just eating the cake.
So how does the tension finally break?
Lisa must have noticed something was off. Maybe the lack of genuine enthusiasm, or the fact that everyone was chugging water.
Exactly. She eventually tries a piece herself, and she screamed.
The moment of truth.
The moment of truth. She immediately realizes her catastrophic error and yells out, "Oh, it is salt! Don't eat it!"
And I imagine the relief in that room was immense.
It was. It led to a huge burst of laughter, and apparently they all drank a lot of water that afternoon.
I'm sure they did. But the takeaway here is so profound. The source actually frames their act of eating the salty cake as true friendship.
And it is. It teaches you that sometimes true friendship means enduring a terrible sensory experience together to protect someone's feelings.
That shared suffering, that commitment to kindness over comfort, probably created a stronger bond than any perfect cake ever could.
Absolutely. So we're moving from a shock to the sense of taste to a full-on assault on the sense of hearing.
From the kitchen to the supermarket.
We're transitioning to section 4, the sound of public embarrassment.
Oh, the supermarket is a special kind of stage for failure because you're supposed to be anonymous.
You're supposed to blend in. It's designed for quiet, functional, solo activity. So when you disrupt that calm, it feels 10 times worse.
What's the disruption?
Emily goes grocery shopping, just a normal trip. But the disruption starts immediately. It's a mechanical failure. She grabs a shopping cart with a broken wheel.
The dreaded squeaky wheel. We've all been there. You grab one, you think, maybe it's not so bad.
Maybe I can manage it.
Yeah.
But she quickly discovered this one was beyond managing. It wasn't just a little wobble.
It was the noise.
It was the noise. A loud, distinct, aggressive, rhythmic sound. Squeak, 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 squeak.
Oh, that is a nightmare sound.
And the analogy she uses to describe it is just perfect. She says it sounded like driving a tractor inside the store.
Wow. Imagine that grinding, metallic shriek echoing through the aisles, bouncing off the linoleum floors.
It turns this quiet, personal errand into a very loud, very public performance that she did not sign up for.
And this is where the spotlight effect comes into play in a massive way.
Tell us about that.
The spotlight effect is our tendency to think that more people notice our actions and appearance than they actually do. We feel like a spotlight is on us. But in this case, the spotlight was real.
It was an auditory spotlight. She says when she was in the fruit section, a quiet area where people are browsing, everyone looked at her.
Of course they did.
People stopped shopping. They were just staring. The squeaking cart made her the involuntary center of attention.
And she describes feeling so small. That feeling is universal, isn't it? When you're the source of a public disturbance, you just want to shrink into nothing.
So this brings us to the central mystery of the story, the big psychological question.
Why didn't she just go back and get another cart?
Exactly. Why endure the shame? This is where you said commitment bias comes in.
Yes, or the sunk cost fallacy. She was already far inside the store. She had invested time and energy pushing this terrible cart.
So in her head, the effort of walking all the way back to the entrance, admitting defeat and getting a new one.
That perceived cost and embarrassment felt greater than the ongoing pain of squeaking her way through the rest of the store.
Even though that's completely illogical.
Totally illogical. But that's how our brains work. We stick with a bad decision because we've already invested in it. She was hoping it would just magically stop.
But it didn't. Her attempts to fix it just made it worse. She tried pushing it softly.
Squeak.
She tried pushing it fast.
Squeak, squeak, squeak.
There was no escape. So the cart started dictating her behavior. She abandoned her shopping list and just grabbed the essentials, milk and eggs, as fast as she could.
She's no longer shopping. She's executing an escape plan. Minimize exposure and get out.
It's that moment where an inanimate object completely takes over your agency. And this reminds me of the other classic example from the source material.
Ah, yes, the dropped bag of apples.
The ultimate loss of control. The apples go rolling everywhere, under the shelves, under other people's feet. You're forced into this public, clumsy chase.
And you have to interact with strangers, apologizing while you're crawling on the floor. It's just peak awkwardness.
It is. But the conclusion here is, it's reassuring. It's just that we're all clumsy sometimes. These moments feel awful, but they are universal.
They really are. And that brings us to a nice transition. We're shifting our focus now from dealing with these unexpected, sudden mishaps.
Right, like a squeaky cart or a coffee spill.
To proactively managing problems that are entirely predictable, specifically people.
Ah, yes. Section 5, navigating the time warp. Also known as the problem of Dave.
Every friend group has a Dave.
They absolutely do. So Paul's plan for the weekend is simple. relax, organize a stress-free barbecue with his old college friends.
A lovely, straightforward goal. But in every social system, there's always one variable that introduces chaos.
And in this group, the variable is Dave. He is immediately identified as the one who is always late.
It's his defining characteristic.
It is, but he's also described as a great, funny guy. And this is the key to adult friendships, right? You accept a person's significant, predictable flaws because their good qualities outweigh the frustration.
That's a crucial point. Dave's lateness isn't a mistake anymore. It's a constant. It's a feature, not a bug.
So the planning has to evolve. You can't just react to it with surprise and anger every time. You have to manage it.
This is what you could call sophisticated social calibration. You're adjusting the whole system to account for one faulty component.
And Paul uses the last barbecue as a case study in just how bad it can get. The start time was 1 p.m.
Right.
At 1:30, they're already worried. They call Dave.
And Dave gives the classic universal response of the chronically late person.
The false promise. He says, "Don't worry, I am leaving now. I will be there in 10 minutes.
That 10 minutes is a beautiful piece of fiction. It's designed to buy goodwill, but it has no connection to reality.
None whatsoever. The wait went on past 10 minutes, past an hour. Dave finally showed up 3 hours later.
3 hours, that's not late. That's practically a different event.
It is. And the consequence was real, and it was immediate. By the time he got there, the party was basically over.
All the food was gone.
All the food was gone.
Yeah.
And the charcoal fire was just dust. It was cold. So Dave, the guest of honor, had to eat potato chips.
That's a perfect self-inflicted punishment. He literally missed the party he was invited to because he couldn't get there on time.
And that experience led Paul to his brilliant, creative solution for the current barbecue. He's learned his lesson.
He's not going to let Dave's time warp ruin another event.
No. He's engaging in what we can call deceptive scheduling. He's told everyone else the barbecue starts at 1 p.m.
But what did he tell Dave?
He told Dave it starts at 11 a.m.
Huh. That is brilliant. He's built in a 2-hour buffer, hoping Dave might actually show up around 1 p.m.
It's this wonderfully complex social maneuver. On one level, it's a lie. But it's a lie born of affection and a desire for the group to actually function.
It's an act of friendship, really. It says, we want you here, but we also recognize your reality is different from ours, so we're going to build a bridge.
You have to be creative with your friends to manage these predictable flaws. You accept the person, but you strategize against the behavior.
Paul is literally creating a personalized time zone just for Dave, all in the name of group harmony. It's a form of social resilience that goes beyond just tolerating a problem.
He's actively engineering a solution so Dave can be part of the group and, actually get to eat some hot food this time.
Which is the highest form of friendship. Caring enough to lie so your friend doesn't miss out.
So true. This brings us really nicely to our final section, where we can bring all these different stories together and synthesize what we've learned.
Right. We've had the spilled coffee, the forgotten key, the salty cake, the squeaky cart, and the perpetually late Dave.
A whole spectrum of human error, from the intensely private and personal to the very public and collective.
And what's so clear is how common it all is. We are constantly navigating this gap between how we want things to be and how they actually are.
And there's a real therapeutic value in just talking about it, isn't there? Sharing these stories makes you feel better. It is genuinely good to laugh at ourselves.
It lowers the stakes for the next time you inevitably make a mistake, because you know you're not the only one.
The core insight for me is that life isn't supposed to be perfect. It was never meant to be this flawless execution of tasks.
That's it. We spill coffee, we forget keys, we squeak in the supermarket, and we eat salty cakes. These aren't bugs in the system, they are the system. They're part of the baseline human experience.
They give us perspective on what actually matters.
And for you, the person listening to this, there's another really critical takeaway here, especially if you're working on your English.
Oh, this is a great point.
Describing these stories, getting into the sensory details, the emotional reactions, is fantastic practice.
Finding the words for the ball of paper shirt or the squeak, squeak, squeak of the cart.
Or the exact taste of a salty cake. It's great for building your vocabulary and fluency. Textbooks don't teach you how to describe the feeling of public embarrassment.
That's so true. Your mistakes, your blunders, they aren't just failures. They are raw material for future stories. The bigger the mistake, the better the story.
Telling a story forces you to organize your thoughts, to build a narrative, to engage a listener. It's the best language practice there is.
So the final message from our sources is a really powerful one. Mistakes are good. They are funny stories for later.
They're the building blocks of connection and resilience. They're worth the momentary pain for the long-term value they provide.
So to recap, we've walked through Paul's coffee cascades, Mark's collective key failure, the team's heroic act of salty cake friendship,
Emily's symphony of squeaks in the supermarket, and Paul's brilliant social calibration to manage Dave's personal time zone.
and we've seen that the real value in all these mishaps isn't just the laugh you get later, it's the way they connect us. They remind us that perfection isn't just impossible, it's kind of undesirable if you want to build real relationships.
Vulnerability is the glue.
It is. And to close out this deep dive, let's build on that idea, this theme of what we expect versus what we get. We spend so much of our energy trying to force life to follow our script. Paul wanted the perfect start to his day. Lisa wanted to bake the perfect cake.
We operate under this relentless expectation of flawlessness, and a lot of our daily stress comes from the shock and disappointment when reality inevitably doesn't cooperate.
So the provocative thought we want to leave you with is this. How much of your stress is actually self-imposed by this expectation of perfection?
And how might your experience change if you embrace the inevitability of the squeak or the splash?
If you go into your day knowing something small will probably go wrong, does it lessen the sting when it actually happens? Does it increase your resilience?
Maybe the real victory isn't having a mistake-free day. Maybe it's just having a day where you successfully turn a mistake into a good story. A narrative that you can share that can make someone else laugh or feel less alone.
That, I think, is the definition of turning failure into value.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the messy, unpredictable, but ultimately wonderful side of being human.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
We hope you have a wonderful, happy, and mistake-free week. Or, you know what, even better, a funny week.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.